everybody, thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at the brand new book, Men I Trust by Tommi Parrish. This is a book I ordered in the Fantagraphics Fanabucks sale, pre-ordered that, and then got a bunch of other stuff for free. The cool thing about a lot of these books that I pre-ordered is they've been coming with these signed book plates. Not all of them, but a couple of them have come with these. I honestly like the way Sean does it better, where he's got it on an Avery label and then you can stick it in the book. This is loose. I don't think there's any way. I guess I could affix it myself. But I'm pretty excited. I got number 49 of 150, so it's pretty limited. I just like it seems like it's gonna fall out of the book, so I'm gonna have to affix it myself, which is probably not the best idea, but whatever. Anyways, to the book itself, it's full of wonderful painted art. I really love that, and I think that the style and the compositions are just really sophisticated. I feel that the art reminds me a bit of what I saw also in Moa Romanova's book. I'm blanking on the title right now, but the Moa Romanova autobiography book, that A Goblin Girl, that's what it was. This book here doesn't have quite the same sense of autobiography as that book. Like, this definitely feels like it's pulling from real life experience, but the characters don't have the author's name or anything like that, and there's not real exposition. It's just people talking. So it could have, it's a very real life story, but it could be autobiographical or it could be made up. In cases I don't know, I'm always just going to choose to believe that it's made up because I'm going to enjoy it more that way probably. But it's a pretty just like tight, down to earth drama, and I really like that. It's a really well written book. It's really impactful. It's got beautiful art. But some of what I've seen is that just the stylistic trend of these huge hands and the small heads, which I find a bit distressing, because when you hear about like a therapist looking at a kid's art, if the hands are overdone, over focusing on the hands, usually for a bad reason, and heads being small means probably that they're not paying attention to the other person's expressions and things like that. I don't know why this is a style that's showing up, these big like clumsy bodies with the small heads. Maybe it's just some kind of trend about how people feel about their bodies, that this is a big unwieldy thing that they want to get rid of. I'm not sure. But that's kind of the sense that I get about the way that the bodies are handled in this, is no one's comfortable in their body. So that's a very visceral sense throughout the book. The story starts off with Eliza, who's a poet, and a pretty well regarded one, but not someone who's making a lot of money at, which at various points in the book talks about the fact that, well, you don't make a lot of money doing poetry. There's a couple weird little things that I've noted throughout the book, like here, just some of the lettering, like instead of writing 11, put the number 11. That seemed a little strange to me. So there's little things like that took me out of the story. But anyways, the story is Eliza. She's a single mother having problems in her relationship with her kid. Going through just this therapy session, talking about these manipulative people that they've dated and things like that. The whole time there's this person mowing in the back, which really doesn't amount to much in the story. I mean, maybe if I reread it 2 or 3 times I'd get it, but I like that there's just this window here. This is just kind of the richness of the world that's going on in terms of like a filled out little drama. Just having this person mow the lawn in the back, I think, is really nice. And something else that I found a bit odd about the art is this main character, Eliza, usually has this like dark purpley hair, but every now and then it's just like the dark purpley outline with yellow showing underneath. And because some of the other characters in the story are blonde, like here she's sitting next to a woman who's also got ostensibly blonde hair. When it switches over to like all of a sudden she's got dark hair here, blonde here, dark hair here, blonde here, that was a bit of a storytelling barrier to me at first. Like, it took me a second. And then I realized that kind of what I needed for character consistency was clothing cues, and that's how I navigated the rest of the book. So that's the opening. You basically just get Eliza at this group. I don't want to give away too much because it's a brand new book, so I'll try and keep it fairly spoiler free while still having a reaction to it, and explaining the thrust of the book. And then you've got Sasha, who's the other main character, and Sasha's a little bit younger, but seemingly a lot a bit younger just a really immature person. You get the sense, but she's a fan of Eliza's books, a fan of Eliza's poetry, and so you get. Early on, you get a meeting between these two characters, and you get the sense that that they're going to. Here you see that Sasha's out and hearing this poetry reading, and then it's going to approach her hero and start to get to know her. And that's the rest of the book, is just kind of this I don't want to say quick interaction, but this short little period of time. It feels like a couple weeks, maybe a month, that these characters are interacting with each other and how they impact each other's lives. That's the whole story. There's a third character that kind of works his way in as well, but he's almost just like there as a plot device. He's not really so much of a character. Something else I found strange here is that this lettering, like right here, the lettering just entirely bleeds in with the image in the background, so it was almost impossible to read. Through context, I was able to put it together, but here too in the hair, I thought that was a really strange lettering choice. So a couple things here and there are strange with the lettering, but other than that, it's all right. So Sasha, after this poetry reading, has gone and imposed herself on Eliza. First as a big fan, but they wind up back at Eliza's house, and you get the sense that they're starting to develop what may be a romance or a friendship of some kind. You definitely get the sense that Sasha's not going to be leaving Eliza alone. When I read this page, I immediately wrote the note, "Get out now." I hadn't read the rest of the book yet, but just the way this woman is interacting, the stuff you write about, it's actually taken from your life, or have you just kind of pulled it from the world? Haha. So basically you're asking if I'm a fraud or not? No. What I mean is, well, I mean, it's just so raw. It's just hard to believe that you've experienced all this heavy stuff. It's crazy. And it's just so real. And it's literally touched all these people. And then she kind of just goes on. And then she talks at some point about, oh God, sorry, I'm being intense again, aren't I? I didn't want to offend you and anything. God, I'm such a fucking black hole. And so just like forcing someone else to be sympathetic to her, like really right out the gate, and trying to draw some pity, and like immediately I recognize this is an extremely toxic character and someone that you should not be interacting with. You just get them out of your life before they cause you trouble. But Eliza, seems to be being nice about it, and is aware that something's amiss, it seems like, but also enjoying the moderate amount of like celebrity she's enjoying as this minor poet that that's not really making a living or anything, to have this like kind of obsessive fan all of a sudden in her moment of loneliness, which is really what this book is about. She's struggling and having a moment of loneliness. This other person's able to ingratiate themselves into their life and take advantage of old routines and habits. This third character here, Andrew, like I said, he's almost just like a plot device. He's a celebrity house renovator. He has like a TV show, and he's using that to basically gentrify areas, which is something that's controversial. But like, it's not really a major plot point. It's just kind of something that's there. And then he himself isn't really a major character. He's just a plot device for these two to interact with. And he has kind of this twisted like daddy relationship with Sasha. So another like instance of just kind of her unhealthy relationships overall. And the way that he winds up interacting with the other two is, it's really just he's there to push their character development and their relationship forward most. So that's how I see that character. But it's the interaction between those three. A couple other things that I noticed throughout the book, some reactions I had, again, without trying to give away too much. This is a scene where Eliza's back in her group, and she's talking about, I've happily taken whatever crumbs of affection I could get, had a lot of sex for acceptance, approval, control. It left me feeling pretty small, like I can't really trust myself. It's so stupid. All of it because I've been so afraid to be alone. I'm terrified of it. I'm alone now for the first time in a long time. I've cut a lot of toxic people out of my life. I have a lot of boundaries now. And well, I look around and there really isn't much left because, well, I've cut out almost everyone. I made a new friend though. She's different. Well, what I mean is I think she might be different. And when you're reading that scene, it's very much like, oh no, you're making the same mistake all over again. Like you can just see it, and she just so can't see it. So this is a really well drawn, really really well written book, but it's also very painful to read for me because it's just watching people just make bad choices. It's a drama about continuing to make bad choices, in my opinion, and it's hard for me to spend time like I so especially with teaching, I spend so much time with other people and helping other people learn to make good choices. It's part of what education, especially these days, is. The kids have come in so coddled and pampered that they really, you're still teaching them how to live by themselves as part of the education. And so to spend, 200 pages or so with characters that are in their 30s and still haven't got their shit together was a bit exhausting. But that's exactly what Tommi Parrish was trying to do with the story and killed it and nailed it. So we got to separate like my own, like, this is painful for me from the fact that I think it's really good and really well done. Really like this scene here where Eliza's falling asleep with her son, and there's cartoons playing on the TV. It looks like Garfield because you got Garfield and John here. I don't know if this is like earlier in the day or if she's remembering the kid or whatever, but it looks like a memory scene. So I like that. I like that it switches context and looks like a memory scene. But I also like that I believe this is a peek into Tommi Parrish's process. So you have like this red line. It looks like with ink, you're drawing with a red ink pen, just a real thin, clean line, or maybe even a red pencil of some sort. And then washing over it with yellow to set a base tone, because you can see that all the art has this real yellow warmth to it that's peeking through underneath. So then I imagine past this that Tommi Parrish would start painting with acrylics or pastels or whatever's being used here, colored pencils maybe. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. Some places it look like watercolor, some places gouache or color penciling. But I think that's getting layered on top of this underpainting. So it's cool to see process and get a peek into the artist's process, but that's also used for storytelling purposes. That's pretty great. I'll skip over that. That's a bit of a spoiler. It was just a note about I basically diagnosed the character. It's pretty obvious to me that this character has a certain mental disorder, but we won't go into that. And then just looking at some of the amazing art that's in the book, just the ambiance of this, the lighting, the sense of space and place in this page is amazing to me. And again, you can see that yellow underpainting is a part of the process on every page. I just think it's used really effectively here with the blue going over it, creating these green glows over everything. That just gorgeous work. And then this scene here, not too much spoiler, but just again gives a sense of the intensity of how well written these characters are and how despicable they are. Really, like how unlikable and how hard it is to spend time with them. Which again is the artist's intention. So the artist is doing exactly what they want. But here you have Eliza talking with her kid, and her kid's basically consoling her. She's saying, "I'm trying to do my best," but he says, "I know, Mom, it will be okay. Do you want me to call Dad? I can call Dad." And she basically goes in and says, "Well, we don't call Dad. We don't have other people take care of us. It's just me and you. I'm your mom. I grew you in my belly. Can you grow in two people's bellies at once? No, you can't. Okay, then does anyone else pick you up from school every day? No, that's right. Grandma takes care of me when you can't, and so does Dad. That's just not true. Why would you say that? I don't know." And like, she's sitting here like telling him like, we're the only ones. No one else is taking care of you. And then immediately there's a knock on the door and she says, "Shit, it's the babysitter. I have to get going. You're such a mature boy." So she's totally like mentally abusing her kid here, in that she's trying to isolate him and cut everyone else out of his life, make him entirely codependent on her. But then immediately abandons him and like just leaves him for the babysitter because she's too busy and she's got to go. And you get the sense throughout the whole book that she's a completely absent mother, and so it's completely manipulative of her as well. And at that point, you start to feel not so bad about her, that this Sasha character she's met is complicating her life, because it's like, okay, well, you're just two out of control people. So those are kind of the themes throughout the book. And it's these themes of like codependence, really, and the manipulations that broken people will do to ensure that they have a codependency, and then how that continues to lead to more broken situations. That's my takeaway from the book. Now, one thing I'm really curious about is how that relates to the title, because my impression going into the book based on the title was that there was going to be like a series of men in her life that she found trustworthy, and or that she didn't find trustworthy, and it was kind of like a sarcastic quote. There's the Andrew character in the book, but like I said, he's not really a character. He's more just a plot device, and really it's a story about these two toxic, codependent, lonely women just being unhealthy for each other. And so I don't get the title in that sense. That it really has nothing to do with men being trustworthy or not. It has to do with these broken women, neither of whom is healthy or trustworthy. So then I wonder if the title isn't like flipping it and being like, look, women are a fucking shit show, but men I trust. So I don't know. I don't know if that's how the title is intended to be read, or if it is a shot at this Andrew character and what he does in the book and how that impacts their friendship. But again, really, like, he's not enough of a person. He's really just instantiated plot twist, plot point, crux in the plot, I guess. So I'm not quite sure exactly in the end, based on the title alone, what Tommi Parrish was trying to say with this book. If I take the title away and just read the book, I like know what my interpretation of it is. And I think Tommi Parrish did an amazing job with both the art and the writing of landing that apparent point. But then the title gets me mixed up a little bit. So anyone else who's watched this, who's read the book, I'm really curious to hear what you make of the title, especially like how that relates to the book, because I'm just unresolved about that. So really impressive work. A little bit difficult to read, but those are the best kind of things, in my opinion. It makes me feel something. So really great book. Definitely recommend it. Go out and grab yourself a copy. If you enjoy what we're doing here on the channel, there's two ways that you can support us. One is through our Patreon. We use the donations there to help us buy the books that we review. That's much appreciated. And then most importantly is supporting the books that Sean puts out through Living the Line Publishing. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some of those now. Plaza by Yokoyama Yuichi. This is translated by Ryan Holmberg and is a very large for a manga, so that's a really cool feature of this book, this standard manga size. And this is just a 200 some odd page representation of what Yokoyama Yuichi thinks of the Carnival Parade, and he's just made this like relentlessly loud and rhythmic book that pushes all kinds of amazing boundaries of what comics and manga are, and we could not recommend this book more. Centralia is an awesome, gorgeous comic by rising Dutch star Miel Van de Peet. This is his first work. It's a really great sci-fi story. There's a world in the future where the sun has gotten so hot that people can't be on the ground, so they have to run around. There's a lot of conceits that go with that. You know, what is the world that looks like? And I think you can see by the art that Sean's description of this book as like a Moebius for young adults, a YA Moebius, is a really great description of this really gorgeous and like wild, wacky, fun book. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.